All right, and we're live. Hey, everybody. Kate Buck Jr. here from Media Buyers for Hire. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about Tom, and then we'll go ahead and what we're going to chat about tonight, and then we will go ahead and dive into the content. So let me pull up my handy dandy cheat sheet. Well, Tom, I'm without my handy dandy cheat sheet, I can actually remember. So you've been helping businesses for about 9 years. I think you were originally in the yellow page industry, but I remember that you were always kind of a technology guy, and you owned a business, a platform that dealt with some third-party data and advertising data, and it was then that you kind of began to work with retargeting, and that you started learning the pitfalls of this whole third-party data, which we're all trying to market better by, using data-driven decisions versus whatever other kind of decisions there are. So tell us about what it was that you learned while you were an owner of this platform, and then how that has led you to talking to us on this call tonight.
Sure. One of the problems that you have with third-party data is you don't know when it was sourced, how it was sourced, how relevant it is, if there's bots involved. There's just a lot of potential negatives there with third-party data. So in seeing, even if you look at Facebook and you look at Google, how important data is, you can kind of see where we're going and where the industry is going. So what we ended up doing was kind of creating our model. And what we've done here is using data and acquiring the data ourselves. So we knew that the quality of data is there, and then kind of going and offering that to our clients. So it's definitely
awesome and
better than third party.
Sounds like tonight we're going to go under the hood of that just a little bit and understand a little more about this quality data and about the platform.
Yes, absolutely. And I think once people see the data that we have, it really becomes interesting. We've been talking to clients, and initially we started out talking on the range of 1 million to 10 million in sales a year. And now we're talking to multi-million-dollar companies, even multi-billion-dollar companies. I was just watching CNBC yesterday, and there was a story of data being used there. And you just see it. We actually had calls about a month or two ago with American Express, $55 billion company. And we saw that they were doing something similar to what we were doing. So it definitely said we were on the right path.
Wow. That's amazing. All right, cool. Well, I'm looking forward to learning a few things. I'm a community person, so data is not my strong suit. So I'm looking forward to learning a few things, and we've already got a few people on. So without further ado, why don't we jump in? If you want to share your screen or what you have for us.
We'll go
tonight.
to the slides.
And then, of course, you guys, while Tom's pulling those up, he'll present for us this evening for a few minutes, as always, with our Media Buyers for Hire Hangouts. He's going to present to us for a few minutes, and then, of course, we'll open it up for your questions. Feel free to post questions in the chat at any time. I'll be monitoring those. And, all right, let me switch on over to the slides. I see them here. And we did, just FYI, we did test this out in full screen presenter mode on Google Hangouts, but I heard somewhere that Apple and Google don't get along very well, so it wasn't working, and that's why you're going to kind of see them not in presenter mode. But it's not because of any fault of Tom's. So with all of those disclaimers and housekeeping, take it away, Tom.
Thanks, Kate. So one of the things that we like to say is, why advertise to the haystack when you could actually advertise to the needle? And what we've done here with the data that we've gotten and we're using, we've kind of developed our program that's called In-Market Leads. And with In-Market Leads, what we've done is we've got the 3% that are looking to purchase a product or service. And we can do this in any vertical, B2B, B2C. And basically what you're looking at is it's 3 to 5% in any industry, but those are the ones that are looking to purchase. And what we actually offer with this is 3 different types of leads. We have our in-market leads, which are the 3% that are looking to purchase. Then we have our in-funnel leads. And what we'll have there is actually people that have visited a client's website as well as being in market. So they're further along. They're probably the highest priority leads that you have. And then the third type of lead that we have is a past purchase alert. So we did a lot of proof of concept with the auto industry. And let's say you had a Honda and you were suddenly looking to buy a new car. If that Honda dealer was a client of ours, what we'd have the ability to do is tell them that John Smith is back in the market for a car. They're a previous customer of the Honda dealer there. Kind of turn up the marketing. Right now, one of your present customers is looking to buy again. Their most worthwhile of your advertising spend. So from there, what we basically have is two databases. And what we see here is data plus data equals insight. So in the first database, we're currently tracking between 120 and 125 million people across the U.S. What we do with this here, and it goes back to a retargeting standpoint, our data that we've got, we're basically dealing, most retargeting is happening as a person goes to a website, but we're not actually dropping a cookie at that point in time. We're actually dropping a cookie at the point of a transaction. So the transaction is usually like 99.9, if not more, % of the time, totally anonymous to us. But the reason that we drop the cookie at the point of the transaction is a couple of reasons. First, people complete transactions, bots do not. So we know that we actually have a human being. And the second thing is, if I'm getting concert tickets from Ticketmaster, I'm probably going to give my real email address versus a throwaway email that I have all my spam going to. So now, not only have we established a real person, but we've established a real email that the person uses, for the transaction. So we have that identifier. So that's one database we have. The second database, we're collecting between 10 and 15 billion buying behaviors on a daily basis. And what we're doing with our buying behaviors, we're kind of looking at a couple of different things. We're looking at keyword navigation. We're looking at URLs. We're looking at social media posting. We're looking at past purchases. We're looking at campaign response through email, among other things. So we're really going all over the board, getting our data here, looking for it, and kind of isolating the 3%. So what you'll see, and I'll kind of go into it, with the 3% and how we kind of identify them there and why they're most valuable. Here, as for you guys as media buyers, why you should use the in-market leads. The 3% are the most deserving of your market effort. If we know that the 3% are out there and they're the ones that are going to be buying, it doesn't make sense to do a lot of major advertising to the 97%. What we can do is look to advertise to the 97% to drive them into the 3%. Once they're in the 3%, then we kind of turn up the marketing heat. As we said, with the what we've done is we've eliminated bots and we've tied it to a specific person. Another advantage that you have using this is actually data ownership. We provide our clients on a weekly basis with a hash file of those that are in market. So if we go back to our auto dealer again, if someone's researching buying a car and they actually buy a car today, in the next week or two, they're probably going to fall off of no longer exhibiting buying behavior. It might go on for a little bit after the purchase, only because they're kind of seeing if they made the correct decision and dealing with their buyer's remorse, but they're going to eventually drop out. So now with data ownership, what you have with that is if I was to go to Google, if I was to go to Facebook and deal with my targeting there, I'm paying on a usage basis. Google, I'm paying per click. Now, when you own the data and you actually have the hash file, if you have, say, for example, a cookie that expires or is cleared out in the middle of a campaign, in the middle of a sales cycle, that's not going to be a problem because you own the data. The other thing that we have is portability of the data. You can take it to multiple platforms. Several platforms now actually accept the hash file directly. And what you would be able to do, Facebook, Google, YouTube, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, LinkedIn. There's also email platforms out there. There's mobile display where they will take the hash and you can actually put it in, create a custom audience from there. Obviously, with the custom audience now, what you're going to end up doing is lowering your first click savings. Typically, what we see a first click savings of 50 to 75%. And again, now you can take it to the various platforms. It doesn't matter where that data came from. Here's something that's really big for the clients. It's 100% sales match accountability. So when we supply data to a company, to a client, and they end up purchasing, whether it be in an online world or an offline, so even when we're talking about those auto dealers and purchases that are offline, if we supplied the data, we have a 100% match of who that was. If we did not supply the data, we've got a 10 to 30% match. So here now, if we're thinking about that, with the data that we provide, as we look at that 100% match, the great thing there is you can justify an ROI from the purchase because we could say it came from our file and we have it there. Again, with the first click savings, 50 to 75% savings. You basically upload the hash file as a custom audience. And then what I would do within Google, YouTube, Facebook is actually create a lookalike audience. So we've got a audience that is targeted. Now, if we could take advantage of Facebook and Google and YouTube and get the lookalikes, now we've just expanded the numbers that we have a lot better than if we're simply using the in-market leads alone. And if we say that marketing is getting the right message to the right person at the right time, obviously, what we've got to do is craft that right message, or you guys have got to craft the right message. We've sorted out the right person. And now the right time, one of the great things that you can do with this, because you've got a relevant person, you don't have to necessarily have to worry about being displayed, having your ads displayed on relevant websites. Now what you can do is kind of put it across multiple platforms. You can go run of network with this and getting frequency that's there, but also not being obnoxious. So we're not showing the same ad to someone 10 times on Facebook. Maybe we're showing 2 on Facebook, 2 on Google, 2 on YouTube, and going forth that way. And we're really able to get our value proposition out there and reinforce that value proposition. So now when that purchase is ready to be made, the person is ready to make that purchase, we've gotten the message in front of them. We've kept top of mind accountability, and we're known. And now we've got the right message to the right person at the right time. So what we do, and it's really kind of simple with this, is we use artificial intelligence to recognize patterns. So let's say we're going back to that auto dealer again, and what we see is a person on the auto dealer side. If a person is looking to buy a car, typically they're going to display 600 to 700 buying behaviors. They're going to go to Edmunds.com. They're going to go to Autotrader.com. They're going to go and look at car rates. They're going to be looking at the individual car. And once you see this happen 600, 700 times, the artificial intelligence recognizes the pattern. So what we end up having the ability, we actually have 2 things that we can do with this is we take a customer, a client, we could actually upload their previous customers into the system. And when we upload the previous customers in there, we're able to look at a path to purchase, establishing the pattern. When you do this for 2, 5, 10, 15, 50, 100, 1,000 times, the pattern becomes real evident to the artificial intelligence, to the algorithm, identifying those that are fitting the pattern of being in market. So from there then, as we have a client that stays with us for a longer period of time, our leads get better. But what we're not doing is necessarily giving more leads, but we're giving better leads. So less leads end up being more targeted. They could justify more of the spend that we're going forth that way. So you've got those right people. And now instead of going fishing in the ocean where there's a lot of fish, we go to the barrel where there may not be as many fish, but it's a lot smaller area. And we're able to have a lot ease of catching that fish there versus catching the fish in the ocean. So what I wanted to do is share a couple of case studies with you. And as I said, we started out in the auto industry and we had proof of concept there. So what we had here, we were dealing with a Toyota dealership in North Dakota. Goal was here 30 cars over 60 days. And as you can see there, we were using social media. We were using banner advertising. We're using Google. We're using email. We're using YouTube. What we ended up having is actually 45 buyers over the point of time. 28 new cars and 17 used cars. And in this here, when we were dealing with the proof of concept, we were actually doing the conversion ourselves. Now what we actually do is offer the lead files to our clients. And in your case, as media buyers, we'd be able to offer it to you guys. You guys deal with the conversion and then kind of go from there. But here, when we were doing this, it was a guaranteed sales program. The problem with the guaranteed sales program was it was very costly. The auto dealerships wanted to know if they could do their own marketing. So we kind of scaled down the program, got rid of the conversion side, let them to handle the conversion side themselves. And now we simply provide them with the valuable data and they're able to go from there. So this is one case study. Now I want to talk about another case, a real interesting one. And one of my salespeople was real old school auto. And with this, his take on the auto market here in the United States is that in the next 6 to 9 months, the bottom is going to drop out. And the reason the bottom is going to drop out is you've got a record number of lease vehicles coming off lease. When that happens, it's going to drive the used car prices down. When the used car prices go down, it's going to drive the new car prices down. So all this tied together, where does the dealership find their profit? And his take is the dealership is going to look to the service element to find its profit there. So what we ended up doing with a small town dealership, town was about 38,000 people in Ohio. And as we were providing the leads, we put a 15-mile radius on this. So we kept it geographically real tight to the dealership. Now, we were supplying about 250 leads a week. And what he was actually doing is he was actually appending data to the leads that we had. He was getting name, address, phone number. And what he simply did was cold calling the data that we had. And in a little less than a month, for the service side of this dealership, they end up writing about $30,000 worth of service. Now, there's a couple of things that are really exciting about this. The $30,000 is exciting to the dealership in itself, but even more so than that, what they end up doing of the $30,000, 100% was consumer. There was no warranty work there, so they had higher profit margin on the consumer work than on the warranty. And then the other thing, this was a Honda dealer, and 70% of the people that came in for service were non-Honda owners. So now, if they have a good experience on the service side of things here, what ends up happening is they've opened up new clients that they potentially could sell new and used cars to. But not only that, but they've actually on $30,000, if we say that that has a 40% profit margin, so they're making $12,000. That's on the magnitude of selling 6 more cars on the month. So really just kind of showing the value of the data there. Now, in talking about the data with our programs, what we do, everything's 100% custom. So if someone was to ask me for a given vertical and a geographical area, we can deal at a local zip code level. We could also go up to a state level. We could go up to a national level. How many leads we're going to provide, I don't know the answer to that. So what we typically do with everything being 100% custom is we'll run a 60 to 90-day trial. And when we do that, what we want to basically do is not just have a client for 60 or 90 days, but we want to be in a relationship with that client for as long as they plan on being in business. So after the trial, we work through the numbers and we kind of go from there where it's valuable for them to keep our service and it's valuable for us there. So everything's done custom. But the great thing with that also is if I was to say that we would provide 5,000 leads, and I'm just pulling an arbitrary number out there, and as it turns out, there's only 4,000 leads, quality leads there, I have to do something to come up with those other 1,000 leads. Typically, it's going to be an inferior quality lead. So what we end up doing is we actually supply all of those leads. This way, there's no arguments. This was a good lead. This is a bad lead. And from there, then your salespeople are good. They're bad. They're not. They have all of the leads, and they can kind of go from there. Now, going back to what I said at the start is we have 3 types of leads. We've got our in-market leads. So those are the leads that we're providing there. When we provide our hash file, we actually score the leads from 1 to 10. And with that said, with the 1 to 10, anything that's really on the higher scale, say above a 7, 7.5, what we have done is we've put a smart pixel on the client's website. And that's when we're actually cooking those that go to the website. That's where we had the 100% sales match accountability, knowing who those people were that visited the website. Those are the ones we turn the marketing up on. Those are our in-funnel leads. So in your file, you'd actually have those that are noted as in-funnel also. So those most deserving of the marketing effort, most deserving of the marketing dollar. As you also see, things are changing in the marketing world. In talking to an auto dealer out by me here, they were probably doing $100,000 a month in TV advertising. And TV advertising doesn't work. People are watching TV on their own time now, whether it be a DVR and we're bypassing the commercials, or they're using a Hulu or Netflix. That's changed. TV advertising, network TV advertising is not what it was. And this company having doing $100,000 in TV advertising a month, 100% pulled their advertising TV. Now, an exciting thing for what we have, and we're in the talk stages of this, but I'd expect it to be coming in the near future. We're actually looking at going through TV advertising with our ads going to our in-market. So we're talking to platforms like Hulu, where now you can take an in-market data, in-market behavior, and in-market buyer, and actually display a TV advertising to them without going on network TV. So that's real exciting where we're going and how things are kind of changing. And This is just an industry that's growing by leaps and bounds. So from that, here's the value that we have with our in-market leads to you guys as media buyers. Because we've isolated the 3% that are looking to purchase, you're going to get better conversion there. The other thing that you're able to do is differentiate your services. If someone is out there and buying data and using third-party data and may have bots in there where your data is going to be cleaner and those people are actually in market, you're able to differentiate yourselves to the better and putting forth your value proposition that you're dealing with better data. You're not a commodity compared to everyone else and other media buyers. And then what I would do with you guys is actually offer volume pricing from the start. So it's not once you get up to so many sales and so many clients that then we would put it into effect. So what we'd end up doing, and the way I kind of see it working with you guys, and there may be other different ideas that you have with this, is we provide the data to you. You guys do the conversion and mark it up to your clients and offering a better product to them. And then you're making your profit on the markup there of the data and of the service and dealing on the back end. We're giving you the data to kind of go forth and display the ads too. So there's no cost to be in the program, to be in a relationship. Like I said, what I look to do is have a relationship with you guys, have a relationship with my clients. So what we end up doing is, again, we would offer the volume pricing to you from the start. And what you're typically going to be looking at, and it's going to depend on what we're dealing on, a geographical area. Obviously, if someone's doing a national campaign, it's going to be more expensive if someone's doing a local campaign for, say, like an auto dealership with a tight radius. So you're going to get the best pricing that we have there. But on a local, you're probably looking at $1,000 a month. We would supply the data to you on a weekly basis. One of the real interesting things with our data that we have is when you can actually go in and talk to a company, it actually gets their head spinning when they think about things. I've got one of my clients has a diabetes product, and it's a lower priced product, but we were basically generating about 100,000 leads on a weekly basis for them in dealing with diabetes. Well, what the company realized was a couple of things. One, in 5 years, these people are still going to have diabetes. So you basically had an evergreen source there with the data. But the other thing that really was exciting from their standpoint and exciting from my standpoint also, what they could do with this is they said, okay, we've got this lower priced item, $47, whatever it was there. What's to prevent us from offering a new product based upon the data that we have? Why can't we take a doctor's education, doctor's visit, consultation, and everything and tie it into a high ticket product because we've got the correct data? And my response was, there's absolutely nothing stopping you. So for business, what they saw is not only was this data valuable in the short term, but it was also valuable in the long term that they can create new products around that data. So what I want to do, for those of you that are interested, contact me. And my email address is tom@advantagemarketingservices.com. And then what we could also do, if you want to set up a call or a Skype, my online calendar is at www.calendly.com/TomPick. And we can set up a conversation and talk. I'd love to be able to offer this to you guys, to offer to all your clients. I also have a personal need with this. In addition to kind of helping you guys out, you guys can kind of help me out too. There are times when I get clients that don't necessarily have the back-end support and aren't doing the back-end conversion or kind of looking there. So some of you may actually be able to provide that, and we may have a relationship that we can develop where it actually goes both ways. Not only are you getting data from me, but I could potentially be providing clients to you that need that back-end conversion, clients that are familiar with and utilizing the in-market leads already. So again, it was tom@advantagemarketingservices.com, and the online calendar is calendly.com/TomPick. That's TOMPIC. Kate, I think that's about what we have there for our in-market leads.
Yeah, wow.
And the whole program.
I'm super, super impressed. I didn't really know, I wasn't fully, didn't fully know what you were going to be presenting tonight. So I'm super impressed with the technology of finding the buyers that have already completed 600 indicators and just marketing to them. That's pretty pretty freaking fascinating. And I love the opportunity for anybody that's interested, by the way, that you're not only looking to help them get these better leads for themselves and for their clients, but also to the media buyers that are students of Justin's to partner with you as well to provide the conversion side of it. So if you're on either side of that fence, then you should reach out to Tom, and we'll put that slide back up again, but let's hop into the Q&A. So anybody that has questions, now would be the time to post them in the chat and let us know that you have them. I do have one from, I don't know, I think you just go by Jamal. It says M. Jamal. He's, this was back when you were talking about the patterns, and he says, do you also build the historical purchase data? Like, are some of the indicators like that they're more likely to buy from mobile and they're currently in market? Or for instance, on that data, it could be like they're more likely to buy from a certain traffic source, things like that. Other indicators that you mentioned. I was actually even wondering if we were going to maybe kind of get a demo, but it's probably too much for this webinar. But could you say a little bit more about how the patterns and the some of that source data, some of the more indicators that they're familiar with, these media buyers are more familiar with?
Sure. It's a different mindset with what we have. So when we're looking at the patterns and the buying behaviors, we're kind of getting a cumulative volume that are there. So we don't know one being greater than another, us personally, but when the computer algorithm and the AI is looking at it, it's going to see the patterns that are most prevalent there. And as you see, as it sees patterns that are most prevalent, that's going to give it a higher lead score in the file. So when you actually sort that out, we don't necessarily know. They're not magic beans. They still have to be nurtured too. So as far as the conversion, but at least you're dealing with someone that's in market versus someone that, is potentially that 97% that's not interested.
TruthDoc is the username. They're asking, what is the applicability of this data in the European market? I suppose it just matters what you said. You could narrow it down to a specific zip code or area code or vicinity. So I suppose it just works anywhere. Just you have to specify where you want, or
no, actually, when it goes back to the one database that we have of tracking the 120 to 125 million people, the transactions there, we're not getting enough transactions worldwide, even in Canada. So right now, this is only available in the U.S.
Okay.
But we've had foreign companies come on board that wanted to sell in the U.S. So we can do that. But it's basically dealing U.S. only.
Okay. Good to know. If anybody else has a question, please go ahead and ask it now. And at the same time, why don't we have you throw that slide back up one more time for us, Tom? And everyone can get your email address if they have more questions, have any more information that they need, or want to get the process started. Then, of course, if you wanted to just go ahead and schedule, the Calendly link is there too. And there's a bit of a delay on Google Hangouts, so it might take a minute or so for a question to come in.
I tell you, Kate, as we're talking to companies here, it's amazing the response that they have to this. And especially when we could do this in any vertical, and it really gets their head spinning when they think about separating those that are interested versus the whole 100% of the audience. We just actually signed a contract with one of the largest tort lawyers in the country. So, looking for medical torts, for example, we can do that. If you're dealing with the local cosmetic dentistry, we can find those things. The big thing that I'd say with this, as we're looking at our ideal clients, are you want to have a product or service where people are leaving that digital footprint and doing the research. If it's a product that's more of an impulse purchase, we're not necessarily going to have that data. I've got one company that's actually a franchise consulting company, and they're basically looking at people. You're probably looking at about a 6-month sales cycle there, but people that are looking to purchase a franchise, and if they sell one franchise from this, they're ecstatic because of it. But now they have a way of advertising to those people that are truly interested versus the 100% of the market.
I think, and I'm just going to call you by your YouTube username, TruthDoc. I think that you should probably message Tom directly. So he's wondering what the since you do provide the leads, would it be possible to, what are the options for getting hash data for people who meet the certain criteria, and then building EU audiences from that data? Like, for instance, Facebook lookalikes for EU audiences based on US data profiles. So maybe that's more a functionality conversation that you guys can have.
Sure. And from the hash data, we actually have a couple of data appenders that we deal with. And the data appenders, we're kind of dealing on the range from 1 cent to 6 cents. When the data appender will actually take the hash and append name, address, phone number, email address, everything to it. So here's one of the way things, everything that's old becomes new again. So picture this with an in-market leads. We can deal with a local real estate agent, for example. I'm in a town of about 38,000 people. If we said to a real estate agent here, go out and knock on every door in the town and see what you get as far as listings, they're not going to do it. But if we have an in-market lead and we kind of take this now, we give it to the realtor, and realtor goes, knocks on a door. They've looked in the crystal ball. They know this person is looking to either buy or sell their house, and just kind of, hi, my name's Tom. I'm with ABC Realty Company. And, I just want to let you know, I've got clients that are looking to move in to this neighborhood. I was wondering if you'd be interested in listing your house. Well, we know that they're in market already. So now by sorting that out, we can take an old time canvassing approach, and it's new again. But what makes it really new is that we're not canvassing the whole market, but just canvassing those that are in market.
Pretty exceptional. I'm super impressed. I'm wondering if everybody else is kind of cluing in or tying into the power of what we're talking about here. I'm going to go ahead and think we should come back on with our smiling faces. If you are, just tell us in the chat. And again, last call sort of for questions for Tom about anything about in-market leads. Any questions you have about what maybe what has worked on conversion side, what any patterns there maybe that he's seen. I don't know, whatever questions you guys might have. We have about 10 more minutes or so. We don't have to use all of it, of course, if you don't have them, but if you do, feel free to ask. What about you've partnered with media buyers before, and how does that relationship typically work? They reach out to you, get on a call, talk about what different types of clients, different verticals. I've heard a little bit about finance. I've heard a little bit about auto.
Yep, we can deal with any vertical there. Again, as long as they're leaving the digital footprint, that's not a problem. Okay. What we can do, typically what we end up doing when we initiate the search process, a lot of times we're dealing with keywords. The more keywords we have, the better, going from search. But like with our franchise company, they knew the value of someone that comes to the board. So what they end up doing, and this sometimes you have a reluctance by clients, other times you do not. They were willing to upload all previous customers to establish that path of purchase that we had. And when a company does this, it lets us to start off 10 miles away from starting at ground zero versus just using keywords.
Totally. You've got 100 or more customers that you're matching patterns for, right?
Yep.
Versus starting from just keywords and building it that way.
Exactly.
Very cool. Okay. Well, I'm not seeing any more questions come in, so I don't know if you have any final words for us, and I'll do that last call one more time for questions. If anybody has them, now's the time to ask. And yeah, Tom, anything else that you haven't had a chance to share yet, or that you wanted to leave us?
I think just reinforcing the fact of when you have the better data, you're going to be that much more valuable. If we have one media buyer that's using third-party data and may have data that's infested with bots, so they're not going to have a higher conversion versus us using the in-market data. It's a smaller percentage, and we've eliminated the bots there. You're going to have better traffic. Better traffic leads to better conversion. Better conversion means you guys are doing your jobs better in the eyes of the clients. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's definitely the quality of the data that we have just really separates it. from everything else that's out there. And, I think what you're going to see is, obviously we can do this. And if we can do this, others can, but we have a pretty good head start on where we are, coming from a demand side platform and having information there and learning things and kind of going forth that way. But I think what you're going to see is, as far as this being used as big data, you're either going to be using us or you better be using a company like us. Otherwise, you're going to get left behind.
Yeah, when we were preparing for this with the three of us with Justin, he is a big fan of in-market leads and definitely believes this is the future of the web and online advertising. And I would dare say not really even the future. It's the now, because you're here and we're in the now, not to get too philosophical at the moment. But Alex is asking, how does your tech and data compare to in-market targeting in AdWords?
Well, in-market targeting in AdWords, obviously the one thing you're doing in AdWords there is you're paying on a usage basis. You're paying per click. But with us, you actually own the record and you can take it to the multiple platforms. You can take the data that we have to AdWords. You can do a lookalike with it there. Obviously, Google has their own data, but what we're doing is we're looking not only from Google, we're looking all across the board. And I'm not going to say use one versus the other. I think, use it in combination. And here's a best practice if you were kind of dealing with best practices with our data. What I would do is run your digital advertising to the whole audience in market. With that being said, so now you've got that 3%, and with a goal of trying to drive them to in funnel. So that where they go to the website, we put the smart pixel on them there. And now having that in funnel, you can kind of go forth with that. But I would use the multiple platforms. You're not simply just going. Here's the problem that I see with a lot of clients. I'll talk to a client and they say, we're getting 80% of our traffic from Facebook. Well, what happens if Zuckerberg changes the way that things are being done for business? There's a company that's potentially walking.
He never does that, Tom. Never, ever.
No, it would just be over at Google that they do that, right?
Everything the same, always.
So we see, companies that are victims to powerful suppliers, where now if you have this data and you can take it wherever you want, for example, at Facebook or at Google, you can't do anything from a legal standpoint, advertising legally. Well, if you have that data and you can go to other platforms, now you can kind of get that message out without playing by Google's rules, on their platform. Same thing with Facebook, as you're looking at, what they're limited to, what you can and can't do. You can go anywhere and take that data there. So I would use it in combination with AdWords. But I think, the other thing that I would say as far as the best practice is when you have our data, exclude it from your present campaigns. So if you exclude it from your present campaigns, you could see what your present campaigns conversion rate and ROI is versus ours. And that's where we're typically seeing that 50 to 75% savings.
Gotcha.
And this way you're not paying twice for that same person.
Makes perfect sense. Let's see. Any other questions, you guys? These have been really good ones so far. So if you've got some more, keep them coming. Yeah, I'm not seeing any more questions come in. So, we might as well go ahead and wrap up. And I'm definitely going to send out the replay for anybody that wasn't able to join us. So I'll leave you with the last words. And I'm not sure if you wanted to share the slide again, totally up to you. But I'm really appreciative for you being on with us for Media Buyers for Hire tonight. And I know Justin was a big 2 thumbs up in support of the work that you're doing with in-market leads. So I thank you for coming and bringing this.
Oh, thank you. I would say if anyone has any confusion and, or, your head's is probably going to start to spin tonight. Kate, I'm sorry that you're not going to be able to go to sleep now with it almost being 1 o'clock, as your head's spinning.
I know, I'm going to crank up some campaigns.
But, just reach out to me, whether it be by email or, set up the calendar link where we can set a time to talk. And again, the goal here is to have this be beneficial for both of us. When we can, one of the things that Kate didn't mention is I actually used to be a collegiate soccer coach. And when I coached against other coaches, friends, other teams, for me to win, you had to lose. With this, what we have here, the greatest thing that we could have is a win-win relationship. And, when we have win-win, and what I want to take it even a step further is win-win is good, but when we create win-win-win, where we win, where you win, and your clients win, that's truly the best win that's out there. And those are going to lead to clients staying with you for a long period of time. You're not looking at churn. Now you've got that residual wealth that comes about from having a long-term relationship instead of simply looking to get new clients to replace old clients that have left.
Really good stuff. Thank you so much for sharing it with us this evening. And you guys reach out to Tom. Thanks for being here on our Media Buyers for Hire AMA. And if you guys have any more questions, I'll be sure to post the replay and the slides for you in the group. So thank you very much, Tom. Have a good evening.
Thanks. You too, Kate.
All right. Thanks, everybody else, for being on. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
If you'd like to learn more about how to use paid traffic and analytics to scale your business, subscribe to the AdSkills channel so you'll be notified every time new content is released. If you'd like to learn more about the topic we just discussed, check out the related video we're posting right now.